Welcome. If you're trying to keep up with the important stories, the ones that really matter, without getting lost in the noise, you're in the right place. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the Gensol scam. It's been all over the news, especially in India's clean energy and EV space.
Right.
We want to unpack this. Think of it as a case study, really, to figure out what happened, why it's such a big deal, and crucially, what lessons there are for retail investors like you.
Exactly. We've sifted through the news, looked at the regulatory findings, and it's quite a story. The idea is to pull out what's essential, make it clear, and highlight the takeaways.
So our mission here is really to understand this Gensol situation, piece together the important facts, and see what warning signs might have been there for investors.
Let's get into it. Where did Gensol even start?
Okay, so Gensol Engineering. They began in solar EPC. That's engineering, procurement, construction for solar projects. Pretty standard stuff for the sector.
Right, building solar farms.
Exactly. But then they expanded into EV leasing, and a big part of that was their link to BluSmart, the electric taxi company.
Ah, the connection there. Both companies were promoted by the same people, right? The Jaggi brothers.
That's right, Anmol Singh Jaggi and Puneet Singh Jaggi. And the growth, well, it was explosive. We're talking revenue going from about, 61 crore in 2017?
To over 1,100 crore by 2024. That's just phenomenal growth on paper.
Phenomenal. And that kind of growth, it attracts attention, especially from individual investors.
No kidding. The number of retail shareholders just ballooned. It went from only 155 back in 2019 to more than 110,000 by March 2025. Huge jump.
Wow. And the stock price reflected that hype, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. It peaked around 1,126 rise per share. The whole company was valued at its peak near 4,300 crore.
Okay, so a massive valuation, tons of retail investors piling in, sets the stage perfectly for a big impact if things go wrong.
Precisely. Which brings us to how this picture started to, crumble.
This is where SEBI, the Securities and Exchange Board of India, comes in. They started digging.
And what they found was pretty serious. Misuse of loans. Big loans.
We're talking about nearly 978 crore combined from government-backed lenders like IREDA, that's the Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency, and PFC, the Power Finance Corporation.
Huge sums. And the purpose, supposedly, to buy electric vehicles.
Right. The plan was to buy 6,400 EVs for Gensol to lease out, mainly to BluSmart, their related entity.
But, the numbers didn't match up, did they?
Not even close. SEBI found that only about 4,700 EVs were actually bought.
So a shortfall of around 1,700 vehicles. And the money for those missing vehicles.
That's the core of it. About 260 crore just vanished. Well, not vanished. SEBI says it was diverted.
Diverted, meaning taken out of the company and used for other things.
Exactly. For the personal benefit of the promoters, funneled through various companies linked to them.
Ah, the promoter-linked entities. Always a potential channel for these kinds of things if not managed transparently.
Let's get specific, though. Can you give us an example? These details really show how it worked.
Okay, take the IRID alone. About 71.4 crore went to a company called Go Auto PVT Ltd., supposedly Gensol's EV supplier.
Okay, supplier gets paid. Seems normal so far.
But then, 50 crore of that money immediately bounced to another entity, Capridge Ventures LLP. And guess who controlled Capridge?
Let me guess. The promoters.
You got it. Promoter controlled. And what did Capridge do with a big chunk of that cash?
This is where it gets interesting, I bet.
They spent 42.94 crore buying a luxury apartment.
An apartment with money meant for electric vehicles.
Not just any apartment. One in DLF, Camellias in Gurgaon. These places apparently start at 70 crore.
70 crore. Wow. That's blatant.
It gets better. The initial booking amount for that flat, 5 crore. Paid by the promoter's mother, Jasmine Kar.
Okay.
And where did she get the euro crore? Directly from Gensol's funds.
So company money straight to booking a luxury flat via the family. Unbelievable.
It paints a very clear picture, doesn't it?
Crystal clear. And this wasn't just one transaction, right? This diversion was happening through multiple channels.
Oh, yeah. Funds were routed through a network. Gensol Consultants, Matrix Gas and Renewables, Percinto Technologies, a whole web of related entities. Makes it harder to track.
And the uses for this diverted money, besides the apartment.
All sorts of personal expenses. Luxury shopping, foreign trips, golf gear, paying off personal credit cards.
Golf gear, seriously.
Apparently. And even trading Gensol's own shares on the stock market, using ShareCan Ltd. As the broker.
Trading their own stock with diverted funds, that adds another layer entirely.
And one more detail that caught people's attention, at least 50 lakh, was transferred to Third Unicorn.
Ashneer Grover's startup.
The very same. Given his own past controversies, that connection certainly raised eyebrows.
And you mentioned circular transactions too, to obscure things further.
Right. There were transactions shuffling money between Gensol EV Lease, Go Solar Ventures, and BluSmart Mobility. It looks like an attempt to make it seem like the money was just moving around within the business group.
When really it was leaking out.
Exactly. Creating complexity to hide the reality. Classic red flag.
Okay, so the money trail is damning. But there was more, wasn't there? Forged documents.
Yes. This is another really shocking part. SEBI found evidence that Gensol allegedly created fake letters,
Fake letters. About what?
claiming they were making regular loan repayments to IRETA and PFC. Letters they apparently knew were false.
And who did they give these fake letters to?
Credit rating agencies, ICRA and CARE, to make the company look financially healthier than it was.
Wow. Directly lying to the rating agencies. What happened when that came out?
Well, ICRA and CARE weren't pleased, as you can imagine. They downgraded Gensol's credit rating straight down to D.
D for default.
Essentially, yes, default or expected default. They cited this suspected falsification. That kind of downgrade is a massive alarm bell for investors.
Should be, absolutely. And it wasn't just paperwork, right? They were making false claims publicly, too.
Seems so. They announced huge pre-orders, something like 30,000 EVs.
30,000, that's a huge number.
It is. But SEBI found there were no actual solid agreements behind that number, just inflated claims.
And what about that EV factory they talked about in Pune?
Another disconnect. Despite public announcements about manufacturing, the investigation found almost no real production activity happening there.
So hype about orders, hype about manufacturing, but the reality was very different.
Exactly. A big gap between the public story and what was actually going on.
Okay, let's talk about the fallout. What did all this mean for everyone involved, especially the investors?
The impact was severe. BluSmart, being so tightly linked, faced major problems. It reportedly started shutting down operations by April 2025 due to the financial chaos.
So the ripples spread quickly, and for Gensol investors.
Devastating. The stock price just collapsed. It fell by about 85% over the past year.
85%, that's nearly wiped out.
Pretty much. Remember that 4,300 crore market cap at the peak?
Yeah.
It crashed down to around 506 crore. Think about those 110,000 retail investors.
Yeah.
A massive loss of wealth.
That's just awful. What actions did the regulators take?
SEBI moved quickly once the investigation progressed. They've barred the Jaggi brothers from the stock market and from holding key roles in listed companies for now.
Okay, so kicking them out of the game, essentially.
Temporarily, yes.
Yes.
They also stopped Gensol's planned stock split and, importantly, ordered a full forensic audit of Gensol and all those related companies.
A deep dive into the books.
Exactly. To uncover the full extent of the financial irregularities.
And the lenders. IRETA and PFC, they're not just writing off nearly 1,000 crore, are they?
No way. They are pursuing legal action to get their money back. We're talking about 977 crore they're trying to recover. That likely means lawsuits against the company and potentially the promoters personally.
Right. And instability continued elsewhere, too. You mentioned BluSmart leadership.
Yes, in March 2025, there was a big shakeup at BluSmart. Several top executives resigned. More signs of the turmoil.
Okay, so a real mess. Let's pivot to the lessons. What can investors, especially retail investors, learn from this whole saga?
This is the crucial part. First and foremost, due diligence on promoter integrity. It's not enough to look at revenue growth.
You have to look at the people running the show.
Absolutely. Scrutinize their track record, look closely at related party transactions deals between the company and entities controlled by the promoters or their family. Check the corporate governance standards. Are they robust?
Because that amazing growth story can hide serious issues if the management isn't ethical.
Exactly. Which leads to the second point. Beware of rapid, unexplained growth. Gensol's meteoric rise looked great.
But it masked major problems. So if a company grows incredibly fast, ask why. Is it sustainable? Is it real? Dig deeper.
Right. Third lesson. Watch for credit rating alerts. When agencies like ICRA or CARE downgrade a company, especially drastically, like to D's.
Pay attention. It's a major warning sign. Don't ignore it.
Definitely. Fourth, verify claims. Demand transparency and disclosure. If a company announces huge orders or big projects,
try to find independent confirmation. Don't just take their press release at face value, as we saw with the 30,000 EV claim.
Precisely. Fifth, be wary of complex fund routing. Intricate webs of transactions between related companies can be used to hide fraud. Look for clear, transparent financial reporting. Unnecessary complexity is often a red flag.
Simple is usually better when it comes to understanding where the money is going.
It often is. And finally, lesson 6. Regulatory actions matter. Pay attention when bodies like SEBI launch investigations or order audits. These actions are there to protect investors and uncover wrongdoing.
So stay informed about what the regulators are doing. Okay, let's just quickly recap the most shocking bits, the numbers that stick out.
Nearly 1,000 crore in loans misused.
Over 260 crore diverted for personal use.
The loan funds meant for EVs buying a super luxury apartment.
Forged documents given to credit rating agencies.
And an 85% stock price crash hitting over 110,000 investors.
It's quite the list. Really sobering stuff.
It really is. The whole Gensol case is a powerful, unfortunately, reminder of the risks out there, even in exciting growth sectors like clean energy and EVs.
It just highlights how important it is to be vigilant, think critically, and watch for those red flags and regulatory signals.
Absolutely essential for protecting your investments.
So here's something to think about as we wrap up. How many other companies out there, looking successful on the surface, might have similar hidden risks lurking beneath? And more importantly, how can you take these hard lessons from Gensol and apply them to your own investment approach going forward? Maybe now's the time to look a bit closer at the governance and transparency of the companies you're invested in.